She's a 6-time Olympic medalist.
Now here's what Democratic Senator Murphy had to say. Let's play it.
This is the most incompetent, incoherent war America has fought in the last 100 years, and that's saying a lot. This administration has no idea what they are doing. There's no viable war plan. They change their goals and their aims every single day. I have great sympathy for our soldiers and our military leaders. They are being given directions by a senile old man who is losing his mind.
Tonight, the political temperature in Washington is rising fast, and a serious conversation is unfolding behind the scenes. Some lawmakers are now openly questioning whether the country is being led by someone who is fully capable of handling the enormous responsibilities of the presidency. The discussion has moved beyond quiet whispers and private concerns. It is now being raised in public forums, with growing calls to consider the constitutional safeguards that exist for moments when a leader may no longer be able to effectively perform the duties of the office.
Last week, what is your reaction to the new reporting tonight that Trump has privately expressed serious interest in deploying U.S. troops on the ground in Iran?
First, I'm going to say that I'm going to use the word that a lot of people are thinking, and it's dementia. We have a situation where some would call a malignant narcissist is unfortunately drifting into a state of dementia that is difficult to manage here. With respect to your question, moving ground troops into a 93 million inhabitant country, Persians have a history of extraordinary bravery in combat. They have a history of extraordinary culture and maintenance of their current and their past and their future. So the idea of moving troops into the state of Iran, bigger than Texas, and working ground warfare with all the logistics associated with doing logistics in a great big country, we're talking pretty difficult stuff here. We're not talking Iraq. This is something much bigger and much more problematic than Iraq, and it looks like Iraq 2.0.
The concern, according to critics, is not about a single speech or a single mistake. Instead, they argue it is about a pattern that has become more visible over time. In recent days, several public appearances have drawn intense scrutiny. During one White House event intended to celebrate Women's History Month, the president attempted to highlight job creation numbers, but what should have been a routine talking point quickly turned into an awkward moment. While trying to reference job figures, he repeated the same phrase again and again, appearing to struggle to complete the sentence. The words stalled mid-thought, and the moment lingered in silence before he tried to move forward. Clips of the moment spread quickly across social media and news programs, sparking a fresh wave of debate about the president's ability to stay focused during public remarks. Critics say these moments are becoming more frequent. They point to a growing list of speeches where sentences seem unfinished, topics abruptly change, or remarks drift away from the original point. To some observers, these moments are more than just ordinary speaking errors. They say they suggest a deeper issue involving clarity, concentration, and consistency. What has intensified the criticism even further is the timing. The country is currently facing serious international tensions, and decisions coming out of Washington carry enormous consequences. In such a moment, critics argue, the public expects clear communication and steady leadership. Instead, they say, the situation appears chaotic, with messages that shift from day to day and statements that sometimes contradict earlier remarks. During that same event, The president openly admitted that he rarely prepares speeches in advance. He joked that if he spent too much time preparing remarks, he would not have enough time to handle other responsibilities. Some supporters view that style as spontaneous and authentic, but critics see it very differently. They argue that preparation is not optional when someone holds the highest office in the country. Every word spoken from the podium can influence international relations, financial markets, and military operations. Meanwhile, the situation overseas has added another layer of urgency to the debate. Rising tensions in the Middle East have triggered fears of a broader conflict. Reports of attacks near vital shipping routes have alarmed international markets and raised concerns about global trade. The region is one of the most strategically important areas in the world, particularly when it comes to energy supplies. Any disruption there can ripple across the global economy within hours. Despite the seriousness of the situation, critics argue that the administration's messaging has been inconsistent. One day, officials appear to suggest a limited operation, while the next day, new statements hint at a much larger strategy. Observers say the lack of a clear and consistent plan has left allies confused and adversaries uncertain about what the United States intends to do next. Military analysts have also warned that any potential escalation involving Iran would be vastly different from previous conflicts in the region. Iran is a massive country with a large population, challenging geography, and a deeply rooted national identity. Experts say that even discussing the possibility of ground forces entering such a country would require extremely careful planning and enormous logistical resources. Without a clearly defined strategy, critics say the risks could be enormous. Back at home, some recent remarks have also drawn attention for their unusual tone. During the same White House gathering, the president repeatedly commented on the appearance of women in the audience. He joked that calling women beautiful might end a politician's career, but said it anyway. Some in the audience laughed, but critics argued that the remarks felt out of place for a formal government event meant to highlight achievements and contributions. There were also moments that raised questions about whether the president was fully aware of the current political landscape around him. At one point during a speech, he praised a political figure as though she were still working inside his administration, even though she had left the role years earlier. For critics, moments like that add to the growing perception of confusion. Supporters, however, insist these are simply verbal slips that happen during unscripted remarks. Another controversy erupted during a radio interview about shipping traffic in a volatile region known for recent attacks on cargo vessels. The president encouraged ships to continue passing through the area and suggested they should show courage despite the threats. Critics immediately pushed back, arguing that commercial shipping companies cannot simply show guts when missiles and drones are being used in the region. They say statements like that underestimate the seriousness of the danger. As these moments accumulate, the conversation in Washington has become more intense. Some lawmakers are beginning to raise the possibility of invoking constitutional measures designed to address situations where a president might be unable to carry out the responsibilities of the office. While such discussions remain politically explosive, the fact that they are happening at all shows how deeply the concerns have spread. Supporters of the administration reject these accusations entirely. They argue that opponents are selectively highlighting awkward moments while ignoring the broader picture. According to them, the president continues to push forward major policies on trade, energy, and international negotiations. From their perspective, the criticism is nothing more than a political strategy designed to weaken the administration. Still, critics argue that leadership is about more than policy announcements. They say it requires discipline, clarity, and the ability to communicate confidently during moments of crisis. In their view, the recent series of speeches, interviews, and public appearances raise serious questions about whether the country is currently seeing that level of leadership. The debate grew even more heated after two disturbing domestic security incidents occurred on the same day. Authorities responded to a threat targeting a religious building in one city, while another alarming situation unfolded at a university campus elsewhere. In both cases, quick action prevented larger tragedies, but the incidents reminded the public that tensions at home are also running high. During remarks addressing those events, the president described them as terrible, but suggested that such tragedies unfortunately happen in society. Critics said the response sounded detached and lacked the urgency they expected from a national leader. Supporters, however, argued that he was simply acknowledging the harsh reality that security threats can occur despite preventative efforts. As the political fight continues, the larger question remains unanswered. How should a country respond when doubts about leadership begin to dominate national conversations? Some argue the solution lies in constitutional processes designed for exactly these types of situations. Others believe the ultimate decision should remain in the hands of voters rather than political institutions. What is clear is that the atmosphere in Washington has become increasingly tense. Discussions that once seemed impossible are now being openly debated in halls of power. Every new speech, every interview, and every public appearance is now being watched more closely than ever before.